arrival in southern Africa, David Livingstone was eager to go north into the vast jungle. He wanted to search for unreached tribes to share the gospel. However, no one wanted to go with him. He referred to the missionaries who didn't want to leave the home base station in Kuruman as veranda missionaries. In other words, they didn't want to leave the front porch. But David wasn't going to stay there, even if it meant the other tribes were savage. He eventually persuaded Roger Edwards, another missionary, to go with him north, and they took along a Bantu translator. They packed up the wagon and headed north, and after 2 weeks they reached the first village. A woman spotted them and shouted, "Luliloo! Luliloo!" It wasn't long before many large tribal men surrounded the wagon, dancing with spears in their hands. The native men led their oxen to the village and introduced their chief. Drums were beating, and out came a large man with a lion skin cloak around him, and around his neck was the fur from the mane. Chief Mozalele killed a cow to eat and gave them a tent to sleep in for the night. But by the morning, Roger and David were eaten up with tampan. Those were African lice. The tampan live in the dirt and had come out while the men were asleep and burrowed into their skin. They spent the morning with hot needles searing the lice out of their skin. In no time at all, the men set up their medical tent and began treating the natives. David quickly learned the Bantu language and was able to share the gospel. They traveled to more friendly villages on many expeditions. People, however, were reluctant to accept the gospel of Jesus Christ. In the Bantu language, God meant very important person or being. They had many gods, witch doctors, and superstitions. Plus, they also practiced polygamy. David continued traveling around, treating the sick, and sharing the gospel. Soon he married Mary Moffat, who was Reverend Moffat's daughter. Not all of the African tribes were friendly, however, and soon David encountered danger.